Caribbean is once again at the center of a serious confrontation between Washington and Caracas, with new military actions adding to an already strained relationship. Former U.S. President Donald Trump declared that American forces had destroyed a vessel in international waters, which he alleged was carrying narcotics from Venezuela toward the United States. Trump said 3 people died in the strike, but no independent proof has been presented to confirm that the targeted boat contained drugs, a fact that has raised sharp questions about the legality and purpose of the operation. Trump issued a statement through Truth Social, describing the incident as the second kinetic strike against what he called violent narcotics groups operating in the Caribbean. He argued that these cartels pose a direct danger to U.S. national security and foreign policy, placing the mission under the jurisdiction of U.S. Southern Command SOUTHCOM. This branch of the American military oversees operations across Latin America and the Caribbean, an area Washington has long considered strategically vital. Alongside his statement, Trump released an unclassified video clip that showed a vessel engulfed in flames. He later insisted during a press briefing that investigators found bags of cocaine and fentanyl scattered in the water after the strike. However, outlets like Reuters reported that their early analysis of the footage was inconclusive because parts of the video were blurred, leaving open questions about its authenticity. Verification, they added, is still ongoing. This strike came shortly after another deadly incident where U.S. forces targeted a different vessel, killing 11 people on board. Florida Senator Marco Rubio strongly defended both actions, telling Fox News that Washington had complete certainty the boats were being used for drug trafficking. Rubio has for years accused Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro of enabling cartels and argued that he represents a direct national security threat to the United States. Maduro has dismissed the allegations and framed the strikes as part of what he calls an imperialist campaign designed to remove him from power. He has accused the United States of creating pretexts for escalating military pressure in the Caribbean. The Guardian reported that Maduro has repeatedly warned Washington that Venezuela will exercise its legitimate right to self-defense if further attacks occur. International experts have raised concerns over the legality of these operations. Analysts interviewed by the BBC suggested that destroying boats in international waters may breach maritime law and human rights standards. Venezuela already scrambled fighter jets over a U.S. destroyer after the first incident, prompting Trump to threaten that any aircraft placed with American forces in a dangerous situation would be shot down. Such exchanges highlight the risk of escalation if either side miscalculates. The Pentagon has also stepped up its military presence in the area. Al Jazeera reported that 5 F-35 stealth fighters recently landed in Puerto Rico, part of a larger deployment of 10 advanced aircraft to strengthen U.S. operations in the region. While defense officials described this as a precautionary measure to improve surveillance, many observers interpret it as a signal that Washington is preparing for broader action if tensions with Caracas continue. Caracas, meanwhile, has remained quiet on the most recent strike, with its communications ministry declining to comment. In past statements, Maduro's government has called U.S. missions acts of war disguised as anti-drug efforts. State-controlled outlets have accused Washington of plotting regime change under the cover of security operations, warning Venezuelans to prepare for further hostilities. For years, the United States has accused Venezuela of acting as a central hub for drug shipments headed toward North America and Europe. The Justice Department has charged Maduro and senior officials with narco-terrorism, alleging their ties to the so-called Cartel de Suns, a criminal network believed to operate inside Venezuela's armed forces. The State Department has offered rewards of up to $15 million for information leading to Maduro's arrest, portray him as deeply involved in transnational trafficking. Independent experts, however, point out that the regional narcotics trade is far more complex. A Brookings Institution report highlighted that most cocaine originates in Colombia, where production has sharply increased before passing through neighboring countries like Venezuela. This raises doubts about whether targeting Venezuelan vessels at sea truly addresses a larger problem or simply adds new tensions to a volatile region. Trump and his supporters argue that such military actions demonstrate strength against cartels. He boasted that maritime smuggling has already declined since the initial strike, while acknowledging that narcotics continue to flow across land borders. "We're going to stop them too," Trump said, pledge and confront traffickers on every front. Yet critics argue that unilateral military operations, without transparency or international support, could end up worsening instability rather than resolving it, with the U.S. expanding its military footprint in the Caribbean and Venezuela vowing to resist what it calls aggression. The confrontation shows no signs of cooling. The lack of verifiable evidence surrounding the latest strike has deepened doubts among analysts, while the deployment of stealth fighters suggests preparations for a longer contest. For observers across the region, the real concern is whether what began as anti-drug missions might spiral into a wider geopolitical conflict between Washington and Caracas.